Over the years, we've profiled no small number of musicians and composers. But as Lee Cowan explains, none of them are quite like the young man you're about to meet.
We've heard it said, where words fail, music speaks. And you're about to meet someone who understands that sentiment better than most.
He has a whole world and a whole life within his brain that for him is completely normal.
20-year-old Jacob Rock is living with severe autism. He's among the roughly 30% of people on the spectrum who are unable to develop functional speech.
He says yes and eat.
That's it.
That's it.
He lives in Los Angeles with his father, Paul Rock, and his mom, Lisa Newman. She's a little camera shy, but they both say Jacob's frustration of being unable to communicate sometimes resulted in self-harm.
He would punch himself in the face. He's very forgiving, but he gets angry when people ignore him or people pretend he's a child. That's really gets him.
I mean, it's got to be lonely for him, but it's lonely for you too.
Yeah, well, you always wonder what's going on.
Speech and music therapists, neurologists, they all try to unlock a way for Jacob to communicate. Now, typing was one way. For 7 long years, everyone, including his mom, who was a third-grade teacher, tried to help him use a keyboard.
There you go.
But Jacob's progress was slow. Some of his school teachers assumed it was because Jacob had a low IQ. But his dad, who worked from home, never believed that. They spent hours together watching Jeopardy! And he says Jacob always seemed to be absorbing it all. And then there was music.
He got a piano. He would play it all the time. Rudimentary. He doesn't actually play.
Paul, a music events producer, always had classic rock playing in the house. And for Jacob, the louder the better.
The whole autism trope of they hate loud noises is true probably for many kids, but not for him.
In 2020, smack in the middle of the pandemic,
subjects.
Paul began working almost every day on Jacob's typing skills. Now, for 16 years, everyone, including Paul, had been calling him Jake. But on this day, he surprised everyone by typing that he'd had enough.
He wanted to be called Jacob, not Jake.
That's what he said?
Yeah.
It was the first time he'd typed out a full sentence unprompted. By the time we showed up almost 2 years later, Jacob was pretty chatty.
I am calm, and I want to say that being the happy subject of this piece is very exciting.
He uses a text-to-speech app on an iPad.
I am so interested in going to the garage to see.
It's a form of augmentative alternative communication that allows him to type out words and sentences, which are then played back. He took us into his bedroom, full of musical instruments. And when we asked him to play something for us, he gave us a very teenage response.
I am damn great at this when no one is here, but I am nervous.
Jacob's ability to type was like water on fertile soil. He began communicating in ways even his dad wasn't really prepared for.
So he started typing poems. It was very emotional poetry and very beautiful poetry and expressing his feeling that, this is my life.
And it turned out that life also had a secret soundtrack. 6 months after he started typing on that app, Jacob announced that he had a symphony in his head, a full 90-minute, 6-movement orchestral composition that he wanted to get out.
Damn calm when I have my symphony to listen to, because really the sounds of my brain are on the screen.
He called it Unforgettable Sunrise.
Why the title?
That's his Unforgettable Sunrise, which is typing and expressing himself.
Jacob couldn't play music, he couldn't read music, he certainly couldn't score it. So how did something as complex as a multi-part symphony get from Jacob's brain to the page?
I thought, please don't ask me.
Why?
It was scary. It was an enormous task.
Rob Laufer, a musician and friend of the family, agreed to try.
It became clear that Jacob could not communicate actual notes to me, but he was hearing definite melodies and he could not communicate it.
Jacob would painstakingly type out detailed instructions for every measure, every movement.
G, O.
In the beginning, he wanted 5 piano bangs. How long? And he goes, well, the first one lasts for 5 seconds. The next one lasts for 10 seconds. And he just had it really clear in his head. I mean, like the seconds.
As for the notes themselves, Jacob would describe them in terms of an emotion or an image.
He wanted a 5-minute mountain of sadness. And I was like, yes, I can do that.
If anything, what his music communicates is that Jacob's inner life is often in turmoil.
He wanted the horns to come in really abrasive, but then they go to a uplifting, joyful, they fill the air with sweetness. But then it goes back and forth. Sweet. Chaotic. I wish we could hear what's in his head. This might be close, I don't know. Every time he made a change, it lifted the thing up and made all this sense. You know.
There's been a long debate about whether nonverbal people like Jacob are actually typing on their own or whether their communication is being facilitated by hopeful parents or caregivers.
Because there are a lot of people who discount the communication that goes on with the typing.
They think it's not real.
They think it's not real. And then he pulls out his index finger and he just types out each letter one at a time.
In fact, during our conversation, Jacob became visibly frustrated because he feared his typing wasn't clear enough.
I am angry that damn ability to type is not always as good as I want, yet I want to tell my story.
Oh, you're doing great. After 2 years of composing and arranging, Jacob and Rob finally had the music down on paper. Through Paul's nonprofit, the Wild Honey Foundation, Paul raised $110,000 to bring it to life, including having the University of Southern California's 55-piece orchestra perform it. In the audience that night were others living with autism. One of them even wrote Jacob a fan letter. I also typed to communicate, it read. I enjoyed your show beyond words. They met, and Jacob now says he's composing a musical just for her. This one he's calling Happy Love.
I think most great creativity is by people who are marginalized and they feel that intensity.
That pain.
The pain, just a desire to create and express that pain. And I think when you can't speak, you've got that in spades.